We have no fear, nor should anyone in the world have it. Ukraine's gained this victory, and it gives us courage, which inspires the entire world.
All over the globe, Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is now famous as a fearless leader of a war-torn country fighting off Russian aggression. Some know how Zelensky went from comedian with no political background to president in a surprise victory for a country used to electing familiar faces in politics. But few outside of Ukraine know how groundbreaking his presidential election campaign in the spring of 2019 was. Here are some of the highlights of the campaign that brought Zelensky a landslide victory.
Так, я готовий.
Before running for president, Zelensky was already very famous in Ukraine as a comedic actor, entertainer, and businessman. His comedy show aired during prime time on one of Ukraine's most popular television channels. The show was a compilation of on-stage sketches heavy on political satire that didn't shy away from ridiculing nearly every politician in Ukraine and beyond.
Мы еще на прошлых выборах договорились, что если вдруг выиграет не Путин, то просто 6 лет не будет президента, а потом опять Путин.
Rumors of Zelensky running for president started circulating long before the actual announcement. In 2015, his production company released the highly popular TV series called Servant of the People, starring Zelensky as a high school teacher who accidentally becomes president of Ukraine and sets out on a mission to knock down the corrupt elites.
С чувством глубокой благодарности хочу сказать. Ідіть ви в жопу. І ця умова обов'язкова для виконання.
The series ran for 3 seasons and was even released on Netflix. Some think the show was part of the setup for Zelensky's further presidential run. However, this has never been confirmed by either Zelensky or his team. Videos and photos hinting at Zelensky's presidential ambitions started popping up on his social media accounts around the summer of 2018, less than a year before the election. One of the most viral was his address to Ukrainian rock star Svyatoslav Vakarchuk, who was then also rumored to be considering a bid for the presidency. In the video, Zelensky hints that if Vakarchuk decides to run, he will run too.
Слава, ну что, ты да или нет? Потому что если ты железно да или точно нет, ну тогда и я.
The official announcement still ended up coming as a surprise, mainly because of how and when it was made, in the first minutes of 2019 on national TV. Zelensky's announcement aired on the 1+1 channel, the one that had worked with his production company for years, at the scheduled time of the traditional New Year's presidential address in Ukraine. Instead of showing then-President Petro Poroshenko, 1+1 aired a pre-recorded speech by Zelensky.
Я іду в президенти України. Давайте зробимо це разом.
An important piece of the story is that this channel belongs to an oligarch, Igor Kolomoisky, who had been in conflict with Poroshenko for quite a while before he effectively endorsed Zelensky. Zelensky was registered as a candidate from the Servant of the People political party. Yes, his party was named after that very TV series. Zelensky ran on an anti-establishment ticket, promising to root out corruption in Ukraine and bring transparency to the government and peace to the country. Unlike other Ukrainian politicians who mostly use TV commercials for campaigning, Zelensky mostly relied on social media to engage with potential voters. Besides sharing his political messages, Zelensky's social media was full of his everyday life, including workouts, making him look more relatable and approachable to people. All over Ukraine, bright green posters and banners displayed his campaign's main slogan, "Зробимо їх разом." Let's get them together, in Ukrainian, referring to kicking the old and corrupt political elites from power. Zelensky's team established a headquarters in central Kyiv, with journalists and officials gathering there on March 21st, the first round of the elections. While waiting for exit poll results, Zelensky played table tennis with a Ukrainian journalist and promised him an interview if he beat him. Zelensky lost the game and kept his word, but he won something more important that night. He advanced to the runoff with 30.24% of the vote. Incumbent President Poroshenko got only 16%, making it to the second round with Zelensky. Ukraine doesn't have an established tradition of holding debates before elections, and the candidates aren't obliged to debate. But before the runoff, it seemed like the whole country wanted to see Zelensky and Poroshenko meet face-to-face. Poroshenko, who had little chance to win in the election, wanted to debate, probably hoping that a televised conversation with tough questions would hurt Zelensky's rating and improve his own positions. Zelensky eventually agreed, but yet again in surprising fashion and on his own terms. He said he wanted the debate to take place at Ukraine's biggest sports arena, the Olympic Stadium in Kyiv. Another one of his conditions was for both of them to undergo drug and alcohol tests, as Poroshenko's supporters repeatedly accused Zelensky of having a drug addiction.
Кандидати повинні обов'язково пройти медичну експертизу і довести народу, що серед них немає ні алкоголіків, ні наркоманів. Країні потрібен здоровий президент.
Poroshenko responded shortly with a no less dramatic video that ended with him saying what is still a frequently cited phrase in Ukraine.
Стадіон так стадіон. Я чекаю на вас, Володимир Олександрович.
Stadium it is then. The historic debate took place on April 19, 2019, just 2 days before the runoff. It was the first debate between Ukraine's presidential frontrunners in nearly 15 years, and the first one held at a sports arena with a crowd of over 20,000 attending it. Although none of the opponents actually talked about their future plans or policies, but rather exchanged insults and sharp remarks, it was a show worth watching.
Але, пан Володимир, ви самі сказали, що ви кот в мішку. Так ви не кіт в мішку, ви мішок.
По-перше, я не ваш опонент, я ваш вирок. Мені здається, краще бути котом в мішку, чим волком в овічій шкурі.
Закликаю країну
час на
зробити
запитання
вибір
вичерпано.
відповідальним 21.
Коротке питання, на яке відповідь так чи ні?
Так.
Вам не соромно? Зробимо їх разом!
Despite the general expectation that the experienced politician Poroshenko would make Zelensky look amateur or simply not ready for the presidency, the debate didn't significantly affect the distribution of the votes. On April 21, 2019, Zelensky won the race, securing 73.22% of the vote, more than any presidential candidate before him. As president, Zelensky went on to implement a number of unconventional approaches, starting with dissolving the Ukrainian parliament and calling a new election during his inauguration speech.
І наостанок, дуже коротко. Дорогі народи, протягом свого життя я намагався робити все, щоб українці посміхались. Це я відчував так серцем. Це була не тільки моя робота, правда, це була моя місія. Наступні 5 років я зроблю все, українці, щоб ви не плакали. Дякую.